The Alchemy Jug, the Boots of Levitation, the Lightning Javelin, the Axe of the Dwarvish Lords. D&D is a game filled with many useful magical items and weapons to help any aspiring adventurer succeed on their journey. But sometimes as a DM, you want to get a little creative and throw in a homebrew item into your game, or 2, or 3, or in my case, like 25. Hi there everyone, this is Ultraviolet Rooster. Let's talk D&D magic items. Okay, to begin with, there are 3 things that you might want to make a note of. 3 important sites that we'll be using today. The first one, Adobe Express Background Remover, to get the images ready for the cards. Eventyr Apps, to create the cards how you want them to look and what you want them to do. Canva.com, to put everything together. The Canvas step may be completely optional, as Eventyr may actually work on your machine. However, as I have yet to actually make it work on my end, I'll be including it in the steps for the instructions on this video. There are several sources that can be used to find art for the item cards you want to create. The 4 biggest ones that I use are Critical Crafting, Mithro Canvas, Shiny Press, and the Fantastic Emporium. There are many more if you know where to look for them. Usually, I just stick to Instagram and the like. Alright, so first things first. You want to select an item that calls out to you. Something that is awesome. You really can't see your game continuing without it. Something like these neat little gloves that I found over at the Fantastic Emporium. Seriously, this people? Question mark? Well, anyways, they are incredible, and I really suggest you guys go check out their stuff. Okay, so now that you have an item in mind, you can look and see what the item does. Most of the time, the item already has an effect. However, sometimes that effect is not quite what you're looking for. Looks like these gloves were meant to be worn by an archer of sorts, being able to cast Hunter's Mark without a spell slot, and without needing to make a con check every time they get hit. That's awesome and all, but may be a little too much for my current game. And I have this item in mind for a different class. Perhaps a monk? Okay, so what we do next is run this card through Adobe Express Background Removal. Completely optional if you have your own service that can help with this. Next, download the newly created PNG image, and keep in mind where you left it. We'll definitely need it for later. Alright, now that we have that ready, let's go ahead and open up Eventyr Apps. If you land on this starting page, go ahead and click the Magic Item Generator. Next, start a new project card by clicking on the top right-hand button with a little cross marked Add Item. Once the card has popped up, go ahead and click on it, giving you this little template. Go ahead and take some time to familiarize yourself with all of the options. When you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. First, let's come up with a name. You can use the name that the item was already given by its creator, or if you want, you can come up with one yourself. Prey Seeker is an awesome sounding name, so let's go ahead with that one. Click on the title area of the card and type in its name. When that is done, go ahead and click the body to fill in the item description. I have taken to starting my item descriptions with a little flavor text, something I picked up from the Borderlands games. If my players can tell me where the flavor text comes from whenever the item is revealed, I give them inspiration on the spot. For this one, let's turn to good old Hemingway. There is no hunting like the hunting of man. and those who have hunted armed men long enough and liked it never cared for anything else thereafter. A fitting quote for someone who hunts down people, if you ask me. Maybe a mercenary or soldier fortune kind of thing. Once that's done, at least for me, you don't have to add the flavor text. You can move on to the item's core description. For this one, it will be simple. Bracers. +1 to unarmed hit and damage. When worn, your unarmed strikes also count as weapon strikes. You know, something simple. Let's also use a modified Prey Seeker's Boon. We will be keeping the ability to cast Hunter's Mark once per long rest without needing a spell slot. However, we won't be including the unbreakable concentration aspect of it. Instead, for thematic reasons, we can add the ability to cast Hunter's Mark once more using 2 key points instead. And now, the bracers feel more like a monk item. Let's also keep the Unrelenting Ferocity ability, in part because I love the name, and in part because it really lets you do more with that extra d6 than just damage. Now, you can use that d6 to turn a miss into a potential hit. However, let's go ahead and make this cost a reaction, especially for a monk that can hit more than once. Finally, we'll allow the monk to do this a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. That way, the item really grows with the user. Of course, you can do whatever you want with your item. This is just an example of how I go about it. Next, click on Image. Make sure it has this little white check on it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Next to the white check mark, there is a drop-down menu that offers images you can use for your items. And if you choose one, then your card is ready from here. However, there is another option. Clicking this little button here allows you to add a link to an image that you've uploaded to an image hosting site like Imager. However, I'm going to come out and admit right now that it has never worked for me. No matter the image or site or whatever, it just doesn't work. So what I've been doing, so I can have a nice little blank slate here, is simply copying the link for this very site and pasting it. Next, click on the kind of item that you want to create. Since the weapon options doesn't have an option for bracers, we'll go ahead and choose the Wondrous Item option. Next, select a rarity for your item. The rarity selected gives you this neat effect of coloring the gemstones around the card. The usual rules apply. White for common, green for uncommon, then blue and purple, red for legendary items, and gold for artifacts. However, let's say you really like the look and flair for the artifacts, but you're not really feeling the color gold. Just go ahead and click on Layout, and click on the color right down here, and choose a different color that best suits you. I usually just let it be as it is. Finally, click on whether or not the item requires attunement, and buy home. And voila! Your card is done. At least this part. Go ahead and click on Get JPEG right down here. Just make sure you remember where it is that your image is saved, because now it's time to put them together. So, if you're like me, and Event here is simply not letting you add images via the link button, then what you're going to do is come right over here to this site, canva.com. I've been using this site for some time now to create thumbnails for my YouTube videos, my profile pictures, and other necessities that pop up. So let's start. Once you've made an account, you need to make an account. Go ahead and click on create a design on the top right corner. For this project, go ahead and choose the poster option. Then simply drag and drop the card image onto the white background. Once there, click and drag it to the left corner. Then click and drag the bottom right-hand corner of the image to enlarge it to this point right here. Yes, I know there's a white space left. You can also simply right-click on the image and set it as your background. However, I find this option cuts off some parts of the image for me, and I just don't like the way it looks. Anyways, once the card is set, choose the item's image and do the same. Drag and drop onto the card. Go ahead and center it into the image field right about here and fix it to your liking. Once everything is ready to go ahead and name your file in the field right here. I usually use the initials along with the word final for easy locating within my files. Next, click on the little white share button right here and choose download. In the next section, leave it as a PNG and click download again. Once downloaded, go ahead and check the folder where your downloads are and double click to open your image. Now, to get rid of that little leftover white space, go ahead and click on edit image here on the top left. Hover over the right edge of the card, then click and drag carefully to the left, just until you get rid of the white space. Once that's done, click on the top right where it says Save Options, and click on Save, and save your image. And there you go. You now have an image card ready to be shared with your D&D group. I've been making these item cards and simply sharing them over Discord with my online group, and even printing them out and laminating them for my in-person group. I know the process can be a bit roundabout, but if you play around with it a little bit, I'm certain you can streamline it for your games. Anyways, I hope this brings a little zest to your games, and I hope you found this video helpful. And as always, this was Ultraviolet Rooster. I'll see you guys on the next one.